Hello everyone, this is Victor Dantas here from the Zero to Hero Academy. Over the years, we have helped multiple professionals either get into the Power Platform market or some of the seasoned professionals within the industry up their game within the low-code technologies. And we are here to announce that we have a special program coming up between March 19th and May 30th. This is the Power Pages and AI Zero to Hero Mentorship Program. Join us, click on the link, access the lessons. You know how we do it. Live lessons on Teams, and then the recorder goes up to YouTube and you can follow if you are in different time zones, but we prefer it to join it live. Connect, ask questions. So go ahead, invite your colleagues, your dad, your mom, your grandpa. Let's everybody join the fun. All right, we'll see you there. Take care. Alrighty, this is lesson one of the Zero to Hero Power Pages and AI mentorship. First of all, I wanted to tell you thank you for joining. We love to do this. We love to learn together, and the primary reason why we host this training, it's not to sell anything, is to make content available to you. So this is for you. Use it, abuse it, share with your friends, make this content yours. But make sure that this chain of shared knowledge continues. Okay, so this is for you. So how this works? So every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays from now until the end of May, we're gonna connect live, and speakers will share a topic. I'm doing the first two lessons, and then next week, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Tino, maybe. I'm a little off still on the schedule, but the schedule is available online. But we have a different speaker talking about a different topic every week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I know that for so many of you, the time zone is a bit brutal. So what we are doing this time around is we are recording the lesson live at 12 p.m. my time. That is 2 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time. And then I'm going to rebroadcast the same lesson on LinkedIn around 7 p.m. my time. And then we're going to put the same video online on YouTube. All right. So if for some reason you miss a lesson, you'll be able to catch up later on. Okay. We ask if you can to always connect live, because this is where the value is. You will be able to ask questions, you'll be able to provide input, and you'll be able to contribute to the lesson as well. So if you can make it live, awesome. If for some reason you are unable to attend one class, you're gonna get a chance to pick it up later on. All right. Okay, let me share my slide and we'll get it started here. All right. Come on, PowerPoint. Okay. Sorry guys, Teams is giving me a little bit of trouble, but we'll get this going. Okay. Do you all see my screen? And which screen do you see? Better yet.
The Zero to Hero screen.
Okay, you see the slide deck. Perfect. All right. So Zero to Hero mentorship, Power Pages, and AI. Main goal of this session is to provide a refresher on some of the Zero to Hero lessons that we have provided in the past on Power Apps portals. So we're gonna be looking at those topics, but we wanted to add a component of artificial intelligence in this run. So refresher of what you probably saw, or either through Zero to Hero content or content from the leaders in the industry. We're gonna do a refresher, and then plus AI on top of that. Okay, that is our goal for this run. I am Victor Dantas. There is a QR code here that you can scan and get in contact in social media. If there are questions to this lesson that I'm not able to respond through the lesson, or if you're watching this lesson on demand, you can always use one of the social channels to ask questions. So scan the QR code, connect, and we'll try our best to provide answers. All right. So today we are going to take a look at the basics of Power Pages. First of all, we're going to look at provisioning websites. Then we're going to look at the different areas of the design studio for Power Apps. And as we look into those different areas, we are going to touch the AI components that are available there. Okay, that's the first part of the lesson. Second part of the lesson is more of the pro code approach to Power Pages development. And again, the AI components, Copilot components that are available there. And then finally, we're going to look at ways to create your Copilot or surface your Copilot to end users within Power Pages. Now, this is an intro class, okay? We are not going to go super deep on the topics here. This is a generic view of what's available. Next lesson, we're going to look at additional tools outside of Power Pages that may help you get your Power Pages game enhanced. And then some of the other teachers or presenters, they will talk about some of these topics in the coming weeks. Okay, are we ready to go? If we are ready to go, give me a thumbs up, and we're going to dive right into it. Okay. All right, awesome. I think you're ready. I'm not sure if I am, but ready or not, here we go. Already. Okay, I'll stop the presentation. And everything that we're gonna do here today is hands-on. Okay, so there are no videos. So because of the risk in that, I wanted to give a disclaimer that some of the features here, or the topics that I show, may take a little bit of time to complete processing. So you can use those gaps to ask questions if you have any. All right, someone has a hands up. Juan, do you have a question, or you just saying that you're ready? Okay, we'll move on. Maybe take your question towards the end. Alrighty. So first things first, I am in the make.powerapps.com environment. And the first thing I want to show here is that you can, if you don't know yet, you can have your own Power Platform environment. And that is outside of so that you create features and you can create apps and sites outside of the scope of an environment that may be used for your customer or your company. How do you do that? You can go to Google and say Power, you can search Power Platform, developer environment, and voila, there is an option to go step by step and create your own environment. Now, environments in Power Platform, they are part of a tenant. Think about a tenant as a big building that you can have different environments, and environments being different rooms. You can create a whole tenant if you really want to segregate your test components, your developer assets, especially the things that you're doing as sandbox, you're trying things out. You can do that as well by creating a new tenant and then creating an environment within that tenant. But once you have it, you're going to navigate to make.powerapps.com, and then you have access not only to Power Pages assets, but also any asset that is available within Power Platform. That is Canvas apps, model-driven apps, flows, so on and so forth. Okay, but this is how you can manage the environment as a whole. as far as creating new components. But for Power Pages, there is a specific website that you can use. You can go to make.powerpages.microsoft.com. And when you land there, this is going to be your home page for it. And in here, first of all, you want to certify that you are in the proper environment, the environment that you are either trying things out or you're actually developing things for your project or customer. And this is the first view. So here you have a few options. First of all, you can create a website template. You can create rather you can create a site based on a template, and this is what Microsoft offers as templates. Okay, you can, if I go back, come on, I want to go back. It never takes you back, so I'm gonna clean this up. There is a second option that is to create a website based on the blank template. So you don't have much there. You have one blank page and um, a design layout that's very simple. So you can build upon it. The third option, if you have an environment that is in the US, I believe Canada, Australia, and there are a few other countries, is that you can create a site based on a prompt. All right. So I'm going to take a prompt here that I built this week, and I'm going to ask Copilot to create a website for me. So this is my prompt. As a food retail marketing executive, I need a snazzy looking portal site for our grocery division, Contoso Foods, to show off the latest product, blah, 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 blah. All right, so I'm going to hit submit here, and I'm going to wait to see what Copilot creates for me. All right, it's going to ask me for the name of the site. I'm going to append here name so I can remember what this is about. Contoso Foods, Z to H for 0 to hero. Then it's going to check if this subdomain is available. I can change that later on to a custom domain. And then voila, I have my site. If I'm not super happy with what it gave me, I can go ahead and ask it to try again. Right? Let's wait to see the results. Yeah, it gave me a somewhat decent homepage. So we will use it. Say next. Then the next step here, it's offering some potential pages that I want to add to my site. So we'll do about us. We'll check that. Maybe the FAQ page. Let's do a recipes page. And then we can say done. So it's gonna take its sweet time. And once it's done, we'll be able to go to the design studio and play with the content that it generated. The site and the content that it generated. Not bad, not bad. We have our site. I can click preview. Come on. What am I missing here that is not yet complete? Okay, we'll give it a minute. And let's explore Design Studio while this is being provisioned. All right. Design Studio has 4 areas. You have the Pages workspace, you have Styling workspace, Data workspace, and Setup. The Pages workspace is where you're going to work on the content of your website. Notice that as I highlight some of the parts here, it shows a plus sign. And what it's giving me is an option to add additional sections to my homepage. So I can click add, and then it's going to ask me what I'm about to add. I'm going to add a section with 3 columns. Okay, so now I have my section here. I can add text. And on this one, we're gonna call it products area. I can use the editor to organize how the content is displayed on the site. I'm gonna call this one customers. This one will label as recipes. All right, my section is added. Let's see if we can preview now. I guess there's still stuff taking place in the back end. We'll give it time. In here, though, I can add another area and say, let's add some text to it. And maybe I don't have a whole lot of creativity in adding content to my site. I'm not a marketing professional, but I could ask Copilot to write this for me. So now we're using natural language here to create content for us. Write a paragraph about the products my company offers. We sell organic only products. Okay, so it gave me some samples here. I can add it to the page. I can ask it to rewrite. I can work on the length of my paragraph, and I can even change the tone. So I can make it more casual, or I can say, let's be more professional. Okay, adjust the length of the text. And I think now I'm ready to add content to my website. So content's there. I can rewrite some of the areas that it left for me to complete. Also foods. And we can repeat the same cycle for each of the sections. All right. So we are going to use Copilot again. Sorry, I clicked the wrong area. Of Copilot will get out of the way. Let's add text. Let's Copilot again to show sample list of customers. Make it shorter. Didn't quite obey my command there, I guess. My prompt is probably a bad one, but we are going to clean up some of the entries. We'll add one more. Oh, this is gonna be big, but I will clean up some of this stuff. I guess it doesn't want to clean up my things. We'll do it this way. So you get the idea. You're using Copilot basically to fill the blanks on your design and content creation. And I think for scenarios where, we counted on marketing professionals to assist us when we are building like MVPs or POCs, this works great, right? Some of the data here is just an illustration of where information should be placed, not necessarily valid information for your customers at the end, right? So it's just placeholders for us to use. Although Copilot is it will search good information and provide good content for you if you give the right prompts. Okay. Any questions so far? All right, we'll keep on going. And if anyone could watch the chat for me, the chat area, it would be great. Let me know if you see anything there. Okay. Um, so
So,
yeah, so
Victor, I have a
Copilot,
question.
go ahead.
Hi. So far we haven't created the database at all, right? So where this text is getting saved.
All right, so we haven't created anything in terms of data structure, but Power Pages is tied to Dataverse. So
Mhm.
the content of Power Pages is being stored in the Dataverse environment behind this website, and we'll get there in a little bit here. I'll show you what I mean.
Right. Okay.
For both data that we create data structures for, and also the data of the site itself, the data that's driving page look and feel and content as well. But we'll get there in a minute. Okay. One other option for copilots in this experience is that I can click plus and ask for an image, and then I could ask it to find images for me. This it's supposed to be wired with Copilot for natural language as well. I'm not sure why my environment's not really showing everything, but you can do searches. This is just searching the web, but you can tap into Copilot for that as well. So for products, I can maybe add organic products and see. You see that it's adding an image for us. So fairly fast and easy. And with ease, we can create content and have something that's somewhat ready to present to a customer for an MVP example, right? So next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the styling area. And in here, though, we can change the look and feel of our site without a whole lot of work. So I can go and let's say that I like this green color that fits the brand of my company better. So it's now changed. The theme of the website is changed to something that I want. I can go ahead and change the fonts so that the site looks more professional. I can pick some of the fonts that are more trendy and really change the look and feel of my site using just the low code approach. I haven't touched code just yet. Don't know if you noticed. But yeah, so my site now has a different font, and I can do that for all of the sections, all of the components in the website.
Victor, this is Monica. You have a question on the chat.
All right. Does Copilot come standard with developer environment? Yes. Copilot is available within the developer environment. Now, Microsoft is calling this sidebar assistant as Copilot, And sometimes it may be misleading because people may imagine that when they talk about Copilot Studio and build your own Copilot and all of that stuff, that what you build there would be available in this experience here. And that's not quite the idea. So Copilot for Power Pages are specifically wired to models that have a relationship with development for Power Pages. Now, there is a way for you to create your own Copilot in Copilot Studio and surface that Copilot to your end users when they run this website. Does that make sense, Jad? Give me a thumbs up if it does, if you don't want to come on mute. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So the main difference is you have copilots now everywhere in almost every single product that Microsoft ships, but you can build your own copilot using Copilot Studio. And for the case of Power Pages, it can be surfaced as a chatbot. So you build your copilot outside, uses it as a chatbot for your end users. But if I go back to the pages area, let me give it time. And again, sorry, sometimes these things take a while to complete, but I prefer to do these lessons live instead of doing videos. So if I go back, you see that my site now looks different. Okay. And there is much more that can be done there. Let me see if we are able to finally preview this site. Something's up. Let me sync and see if we are going to be able to preview afterwards.
Victor, you have another question from Maria in the chat.
All right, thank you. I want to add my own company logo using the URL, but where does that URL come from? All right, let's have a look there. First of all, let me see if I'm now able to preview. Something's off, but yeah, we'll do it without previewing today. Maybe I'll send the link later and you can take a look. So changing a logo, you can click on the edit header area, and then from here, you can upload your own logo. Okay, you can upload your PNG, and that's gonna take this space here. Okay, the URL, I think it's to point to an image that exists outside of Power Pages. So that is how it's used. Does that make sense, Maria?
Yeah, thanks. It's just when I click the edit header, I don't get that initial. Oh, I do. I'm sorry. I wasn't looking in the right place. Okay, I can just upload the images from my SharePoint site.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so we did content. Actually, we created a site using natural language. Then we added content using natural language. We look at images and also look and feel. So next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at how Copilot can assist us creating some of the forms and data components that we can leverage in a Power Pages website. Now, before we go there, let's take a look at how this data integration works between Power Pages and Dataverse. You'll notice here that if I click a plus sign, I can add a section. I'm going to do a one column section. And in here, you have options to add components. To the left, you're going to have components that are more HTML based. And then to the right, you have components that are Power Platform based. Okay, so on the right, you have forms, multi-step forms, lists, and even Power BI. And there is a bit more here under ellipses that you can add. You can add spacers and iframe, so on and so forth. So these three components, they are hardwired to Dataverse. So if you have a data model in Dataverse, you can expose forms and views that are based on that data model. So because I don't know who is actually following the lessons super well, I'm going to take a step back and we're going to go into the backend and take a look at Dataverse. And we are going to show you what we are about to expose in Power Pages. So let's go there. You go to make.powerapps.com and you access your environment. You notice that here you have a concept of solutions. Solutions are containers of components within Power Platform. And you can, I'll put a link on the video when I publish this on YouTube for some of the lessons on data modeling within Dataverse, okay? So you can maybe pause your video here, watch that lesson, and then come back. It will make sense to you. But the first thing you want to do, if you don't have yet a solution for your project, you need to create one. So I'm going to call this one Hero Samples. And I already have a publisher here for Zero to Hero. But if you don't have one, you're going to go ahead and create a publisher. Again, in my lesson, I talk about all of this stuff. So I'm going to create a solution. And now I can either leverage tables and components that already exist in this model within this Dataverse database, or I can create my own tables, okay? So I will add existing form. First of all, I'm gonna add the table, and it's gonna be the contact table. And from there, I'm going to select an object. It's gonna be a form, and we're gonna add the profile enhanced form. Good, great. Now we go back to the Dataverse site, and the first thing I'm gonna add is a form on this page, and I have options to create a form using AI, using Copilots, but I'm first going to create a new form manually, just to show you how it works. So my new form is based off the contact table, all right? And the form I'm going to use will be this profile web form. And I'm going to name this a little different. So web form for the Zero to Hero class. Hit OK. Give it some time. And you see that my form is here now. All right, and it came with a number of different settings. The first thing it's doing is, because I didn't really configure everything in detail, it assumed that this form will be used to create a new record. All right, and the same form is on submit, it's display a message saying that it's successful. But I could change that and say, I want to redirect navigation to another URL. I want to redirect to a different page within my website. Do I want CAPTCHA? Maybe yes, maybe I don't want it. And I can enable attachments if this form is for editing records, okay? So I can do all of that. Now, to the question that was asked earlier, all of these settings are kept in the backend within Dataverse as well. So if I click these three dots, actually, if I go on Edit Form, there used to be a link here. Yes, on the second page, on this data page, I can click on Open Power Pages Management. and it opens a model-driven app to give me a bunch of extra options for configuring that form. And again, throughout the training, some of the speakers will talk about those components in detail, okay? But you notice that there is a lot more to this form control than what's displayed in the design studio, okay? We don't have time today to step into each of these items, but just to illustrate to you how Power Pages is tied to the Dataverse, okay? So now going back to my page, I'm not sure if it's gonna be ready for us to preview just yet. Hopefully, no, not yet. So maybe on the next lesson, we'll tap into the form and we'll be able to run it, okay? But this is how you add a form how you add a basic form on Power Pages based on a form that already exists in Dataverse. But suppose that I'm creating a new thing. I got here, I created my design, it's working well, and my customer wants to add a new page, and in that page, we wanted to throw a form on a table that doesn't yet exist, okay? So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new page, and we're gonna call it Submit Your Recipe, okay? The template for my page is blank. We're gonna hit add and wait a little bit. Okay, and in here, we're gonna again click on form. And now instead of selecting one that already exists, we're gonna use natural language here. We're gonna use Copilot to create one for us. So we're gonna call it recipe suggestion form. And let's see if this prompt is good enough. If not, we'll work to add more details. Okay, so this is the suggestion that AI gave me. And the recipe has a name, ingredients, instructions, prep, cook time, total time, blah, 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 blah. And I'll say, I love this. Okay, and it's going to the back end, and it's going to create a data structure for me along with forms that I can then expose here in Power Pages. So far, so good. Let's see if there is any more questions here in the chat. Thank you, Andre, for sharing the link here on the lesson in the chat area. Much appreciated. Yes, Nabinha, I agree. This is a great form. Let's see how long it takes. Hopefully, it doesn't take long enough to provision everything. I understand that the work that it's doing in the back end, if I did it manually, it would take time. But yeah, okay. This is our form. It's built for us and it's available in our page. Isn't that awesome? That is great. Now, let's take a look at what this Copilot did to the backend. The first thing that I suspect that it did, and it's probably not optional, optimal, is that it created a new table in the system, and it probably used the default publisher to create that new table, okay? And it used a naming convention that's probably not exactly what I want, right? So reason why I'm showing that is just to highlight to you that although Copilot did a good work for me here, it's not yet in that stage where I can really use it for a project, like a project that I'm shipping to my customers. Now, it will get there soon, but it's not there yet. for example, I don't like the display name for my table. So if I'm exposing these tables in a model-driven app, this is probably not the best thing for me, but I can make changes to it. And this is outside of the scope of the lesson today, but it's important for you to understand what it is doing. Now, one thing you can avoid in terms of naming convention that you could control is that you could set up your publisher for the default solution to be your own publisher, so that when it creates objects, it uses the prefix that you want, okay? And I know that this is probably a bit more in depth than some of the class participants are familiar with, but for folks who have worked with solution management and all that, this would make sense, okay? But the table was created, fields were created accordingly, and I think we are good to go. And it really respected some of the right design for database database modeling, where it inferred that calories is a number and it can have decimal points. So it created a good data structure. What I dislike is the way that it's naming the field. So we'll see how things work in the future. But form is here nonetheless, looks nice, and whatever validation that was built into the model is available here. What am I talking about? What I'm saying is that the field precision, the range, if you're using numbers, if you can enter a number, 0 to 100, and number of characters for text fields, everything that was set in the backend is now respected here in Power Pages. Okay, so again, let's give it one more try and see if we can preview. Not yet. Okay, we'll get there at some point. But yeah, so I showed you creating a website using Copilot, adding content to the site using Copilot, adding images to the site, also form creation using Copilot. So let's have a look into code and more of the content for more of the pro dev content for Power Pages, okay? You notice here that I have an option to edit code, and what it does is when I click on it, and it's going to open Visual Studio Code and show all the content that is associated to this website.
Victor, can you look at the chat in the meantime?
All right, let's look at the chat. So let me see where I missed. I think I got a question from Jayshree. Is auditing available for all changes done in Power Pages by any anonymous and authenticated user? So the data is pushed to Dataverse. If you have audit available there, it's gonna show. But Dataverse connects to Power Pages connects to Dataverse using a service connection, a service account to connect. So everything that's changed in Power Pages will be displayed as if that particular user made the change, not the end user. So you still have audit capabilities, but not as granular as to you would be able to see if it was a Dataverse user making the change. Can we connect to any other data source other than Dataverse, like we do in Canvas? You can connect to different data sources. So far, there is a number of providers that are available. If you go to the tables area, actually all, and then you say new, you can create a new table from external data, and then you're going to have options here. Today you have SQL Server, Fabric, SharePoint. There's also virtual tables for Business Central that is available as well. But it's not showing here because that particular configuration starts in Business Central. So the virtual table becomes available in Dataverse, and in turn, you can tap into those tables from a website, from a Power Pages website. I hope I have answered your questions. Let's see, whom else? Can you specify the Dataverse table name and ask Copilot to create a form in that table? Not quite there yet. And this is one of the things that I'm bringing up to Microsoft, that Copilot will become very, very powerful if it can infer to the model that is available in the Dataverse behind that Power Pages site. Okay, I know that this may be too much to unpack in one sentence, but what I mean is, I'm looking for the day where you go to Power Pages and then you say, create an events management site for me, and it will inspect the data structure of my Dataverse and identify that I may have already an events table there, and then look at the fields in that model while it creates some of these templates for me. Not only it would give me content like images and text about events management, but also forms and lists based on the tables that already exists within the Dataverse model. That's what I'm hoping for. We're not there yet. Okay. We'll discuss get into tables in SQL Server. I have to take a look at the schedule. We may add some there, but what we are looking at here is Power Pages with Dataverse. So if you have a data source available within Dataverse that can be exposed here through virtual tables, then almost everything that Power Pages does with tables and forms and views in Dataverse will be available for virtual tables and regular tables. So it's all the same, or most of it is the same, I should say. Okay, but I'll check the schedule and see if that will be there as well. Is there any
limitations of virtual tables will also be the same?
It'll be the same. Yes. That's why I said almost. I want to make that remark. But a lot of times it does good work, but there are limitations. So if you know what the limitations are with virtual tables, most of it, or if not all of the limitations, are also applicable in Power Pages, and there are some more in the Power Pages side of things. Okay. I don't know if I missed any other questions. I'll try to give 5 more minutes towards the end of the presentation so we can talk about it as well. All right. So I now have the content of my web page here available as code. Okay. And in here, you'll notice that if I go to the side, let me go a bit to the side here, you see the taglines for my web page. So I have this form component that Copilot created for me, and it's referencing a name, the name of the basic form that is then stored in Dataverse that we can leverage here. Now, there is support here for this code. If you're not very familiar with what's taking place, you can use Copilot to write more code for you. You can use Copilot to explain some of this stuff. You can even use Copilot to add or suggest more code for you. And that's what we're going to try. So in this page, what I want to do is I want to have Copilot help me out in creating some HTML content to maybe give a salutation to my signed on user. So I can say, show me how I can create a hello message to the signed on user. So let's wait a little bit and checking to see if we have any additional questions. All right. So this one is creating a JavaScript message, or using JavaScript code with a combination also of Liquid. I know this won't work quite well, but it's trying to do this for me. But let me try to do this another way. Create HTML plus Liquid div showing a hello label and the full name of my signed on user. And let's see what it does. All right, so it did create this for me. I have two options. One is to assume that this page, if I assume that this page will only be available to signed on users, I can do this, throw that in there, or I could also use this code that also checks if the user is signed on. If there is a user signed on, and then I use the HTML to show my hello message, okay? Now, if you verse with HTML, you know that this probably won't look good in my site. I could take that from there, do it this way, and that would be done, all right? Now, if I have a little bit more knowledge of the platform to write prompts that will actually be interpreted well by Copilot, I could use that knowledge to do more complex things. I could say, write a liquid fetch XML query that lists all recipe suggestions sorted by name, then display the recipes as an HTML table. I'm taking the risk here with these prompts because I didn't write them before, so I'm going by. I'm flying low altitude here. It's risky. So let's see what it does. So it gave me the query. Now you notice that this query would fail because it did not infer to my data structure to build the query. Okay, so the query itself would fail, but we can always take a look in the backend and fill in the parts that we want to get results for with the right schema name. So if I go back to the solution and I go to properties here for my table, I can take the table name, schema name for my table. Come on. Okay, throw that back here. This is what we are querying. Then we'll go back to the primary column. It's recipe name. Get the logical name. Sorry, I keep saying schema name, but it's the logical name. Throw that in there. Okay, now I have the right query. Then I can go down here to my for loop. That's this bit better. And replace the column name, and voila, I have my query. Okay, so now I can query my database. Notice that I didn't provide the syntax for fetch. I didn't provide the syntax for the for loop. Copilot helped me in doing that. Okay, we have one entire lesson talking about the pro developer view of Power Pages, and you can do a lot to your code. So Nikita is giving us a pro tip saying add no lock through your fetch queries. Awesome. Yeah, to make it perform well and not impede other processes on the other side. Thanks, Nikita. So yeah, so that's what we have. The third thing here is that it's possible to expose Copilot, a Copilot that you create on your website. I don't know if we're gonna look at it today. We're only 3 minutes out from the lesson, but there is an area for setup, and this is where we can turn on your Copilot, your custom Copilot that is. So you create a Copilot in your environment, and I don't think it's gonna work because my site I think is still provisioning, but you can do that. You can create your own Copilot in Copilot Studio, come here, enable it, and now it's available on your website. Okay. I think for the demo today, I think that's all I had. We're gonna open the mic for questions, and if you wanna turn your camera on as you ask questions, you're free to do that as well. And we're gonna give 5 more minutes of questions to whomever has it. Someone has a hand up. Let me see who that is. Scott, feel free to turn your camera on if you want and ask a question, please. Actually, the first one is Gustavo. Gustavo, you can go first. We can't hear you, Gustavo, if you're talking. You're muted.
No, thanks. All right.
Okay. All right. So, Scott, do you have a question for us?
Yeah, Victor, on the Visual Studio, when I hit Copilot, it's saying I don't have an appropriate license. My account doesn't currently support Copilot. Do you know what that license requirement is within Visual Studio?
I don't know. Are you using the Visual Studio that is part of the extension for Power Pages?
Yes.
Or okay, that's a new. I see that Nikita is here. Do you have that answer, Nikita? Do you
would
mind?
check what there might be a regional thing. I'm just gonna guess as well, right?
Yeah,
I haven't seen that message.
Yeah. I had that when I
Okay.
first set mine up. It was only available in the States. I believe that's extended now, though, right?
I see.
Yeah,
see.
I did post in the chat the message I've got up, so it's on the chat, the actual text that comes up, but it doesn't say anything about region.
Okay. I'll take that message, Scott. I'll have a look and get back to you.
Thank you.
That doesn't say licensing. That says your admin disabled AI. You guys have a compliance. Somebody in your IT doesn't like AI and says no AI, and we're listening to that.
Yeah, there are some environment settings that you have to switch on to enable it before you begin.
Our whole environment has got Copilot in it, so it builds all the pages. We're using Copilot Studio. It just doesn't seem to do it for that one. But we have a Canadian educational tenant, so I'm wondering if it's a educational issue rather than a Canadian issue.
So the low-code stuff worked, but they didn't work only in VS Code.
Yeah.
That might be a VS Code specific setting for your account then. Yeah, I would when you're binging around for answer, look in that area. But I would also say go, follow up with that I know the documentation will probably not answer that.
Yeah.
All right, we have Ramia. You can go next. Unless Gustavo, do you still have a question? Because your hand's still up. I'm not sure if you have a question or not. We didn't get a chance to listen to your question.
No, it's okay.
All right, okay. All right, Ramia.
Yes, thank you. I have a question, not sure if I missed about it. Copilot, how can we set a language to pose any queries or to retrieve the data, the language settings? For example, if I need the marketing content in an Arabic, or if I have to pose any query in an Arabic or some other language.
So that is more like your own Copilot, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a session on that in a few weeks.
All right. We'll wait to answer that question then, Ramya, or maybe I'll just place you in contact with Sharon. Maybe you can share some of your material ahead of time with Ramya, if it's not too much. It can be informal, it can be links if you have that information. But yeah. All right. Let's move on to Solomon.
Hello. Just seeing that we have Visual Studio open here, I'm just wondering, in terms of editing Power Pages in Visual Studio Code, is there a place where I can know how much, so that I do not hit my head a couple of times? How much is it allowed, or components, in terms of editing those components? Is there a place where we know to what extent we can edit those components?
So,
for example.
So Power Pages is extended or can be extended at the HTML level. You can extend it using JavaScript. You can extend it using a template language called Liquid. So those are the three main technologies that you can use to expand. There is a way also to create PCF components that can be used in Power Pages. Down the line in the class, we're going to talk about it. But to your first question, you said how much we can customize in terms of how would you do it using Visual Studio. So there is an extension for VS Code that is desktop VS Code version that you can install, and you can download the content of your website, and the experience you're going to have is very similar to what I just showed in vscode.dev. So I showed it to you in the browser, but you can actually do it in VS Code on your machine. The key difference, or the main benefit of that particular approach, is that you can bind a folder that you have local in your machine to a Git repo, and then now you have the contents of your site in source control. Now you can't run the site locally as you would run an ASP.NET application on your machine, but you can make edits locally and then push those changes up to the environment where you can see the changes reflected. Okay, maybe what I will do is I'll send an email to the whole class with links about Power Pages CLI, Power Pages extensions for VS Code, and we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks. Just as a follow-up question on that, in that case, if you can send it to repo, does it mean that you can also set up the CI/CD pipelines for anything that you want to change?
You can. You can.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. I don't see any hands raised. Let me check the chat and see if I missed anything. I don't think we do. All right. So I want to thank you all for being here today, our first lesson. I want to thank for our friends that informally have been moderating the session. Mary, thank you so much for doing that. Cheryl, Nikita. For those who don't know, Nikita is part of the CAT team for Microsoft within the Power Pages product. A great professional. Follow him on LinkedIn. He's got a lot of content that he shares, and a great friend. And we have many others here. I don't see all the names, so forgive me if I don't say your name. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today, and we'll see you again on Thursday. Okay? Thank you. I hope this lesson was provided good content in good direction for you all. All right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.